Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. And of course, the long-awaited scouting report. We're absolutely buzzing to be able to bring this to you. Obviously, it might have come a little bit sooner, but we've had the Euros, Italy getting dumped out in the quarters. So Andrea was like, crying over that. And then we've been dealing with getting to the final. And I'm joking, of course, just rubbing it in his face that we got. But he has got form, we've got zero, so it's all good. Listen, we're here. It's exciting. We've had a lot of positive response on social media. There's a few of you already in the chat as well, so make sure you smash a like, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Locker's channel, follow Andrea on Twitter, get your comments in, hit the notification bell and all that jazz. Before we get into the scouting report, which is going to be covering right backs, folks, do me a favour as well, chat. Like, we're doing a video. I don't need to know about anything outside of that right now. Can we just do the video and then we'll sort that out another time, yeah? So we're going to be looking at right backs. But before we do that, I've not managed to speak to these two lads really for a while, actually. It's been a few messages here and there. We've not got their opinion on what's going on at Leeds United. So I want to talk about that first. We've also got some sort of breaking news, if you like, on Sommerville. I would say it's breaking news because of the source it's come from, but again, it is just off a message board on Wacko. But we'll talk about it. But before we do, let's just find out how the lads are and the current situation at Leeds United. So, Andrea, talk to me. How are you feeling? Are you like me, who's starting to get a little bit worried, or are you still quite relaxed?
First of all, it's great to be back with you too. And it was I was very happy to see the response. People kept asking about our scouting reports. When were they're coming? So it was good to see. About the situation, honestly, I'm still about fine. Honestly, because I think there's some players that need to leave Leeds United. I think there's some players that need to leave Leeds United and don't want to be at Leeds United. So I would be happy if they leave. Honestly, I would be happy if they leave, and I want new players that like Rodon. Rodon had offers from the Premier League. Of course, It was a specific deal, because of the Achikwe situation, but he wanted to play for Leeds. There's other players that don't want to play for Leeds. Let's be honest. Let's be real. They think they're better than Leeds, and in the future, probably they'll look to move on from Leeds United. They don't want to be here for the long term. So first of all, I think we need to solve some situations. Wöber, Christensen. I don't get people getting excited on Twitter about they will be staying. They have committed. They didn't say a word. No. Aronson said he wanted to stay in an interview. They didn't, and they're still here because there's no club that wants to pay what we're asking for them. So they are a burden to this club again, like last summer again. Yeah. And they don't want. They want to leave, but nobody is taking them. And in the end, we are gonna settle for a loan probably again. Yeah. Unfortunately. But overall, I think I was happy to see Rothwell coming in. I think Gray, I was very, very, very angry to see him leave, honestly. I didn't write anything on Twitter and on my socials because I was very angry. Because I think we were forced to say Gray because no one arrived and gave us what we were asking for Sommerville or Gnonto. Yeah. That's agreed. It. So we ended up selling a player that wanted to stay at Leeds. We had just one season of Achikwe. That's madness. Because the money, the Gray money was assured. We were sure that for Gray this season we were getting that money. Maybe it wouldn't go on to have another good season this season, like the last one. So the price would have dropped a little bit. So it was assured money. Sommerville and Gnonto, we didn't have clubs meeting our price. So that's why we ended up going for the easy way, the easy money for Gray. So a player that wanted to stay at Leeds born and bred, was sold. Players that probably in the future, last summer Gnonto wanted to leave. Sommerville, I think, and we'll talk about it later probably, he will want to leave again. We want to leave, not like Gnonto again. Will want to leave because I think he wants to make the next step after being named Championship Player of the Year. But overall, I think once we solve this, we'll see players coming through, bang, 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 one after the other. Very good signing, Rothwell. Right. I hope so, honestly, because another thing that assures me, honestly, and keeps me with the first friendly of the season, the first official friendly of the season is on Friday. So the friendlies haven't started yet. And Farke would have already walked if he wasn't assured by the 49ers that business is going to be made.
Yeah.
Farke would have worked for me. So that's where I'm at, honestly. That's where I'm at. And I'm really glad that we're going to start to do the scouting reports again and talk about real news again, because I was, I tried, also there were the Euros, I tried to disconnect a little bit because I was really, really angry after this, I'm looking at how the season ended, the playoff final, the performance, the attitude of certain players on that pitch. And after, more than a month, I'm still pissed. Honestly, I'm still pissed at how certain players playing in the final. Honestly, the attitude, their body language. Sometimes you need to be more mentality minded, like Dan James, because mentality wins you games more than talent. Certain players have more talent than Dan James, but not the mentality of certain players, like Rodon, for example. I want mentality players at Leeds, not players that mirror themselves in their talents. I want players that want to play at this club, that want to play for this club, and have the mentality to play at this club and commit to this club.
Yeah. No, I love that very impassioned rant there from you, Andre. I love to hear that, mate. I agree. I'm not as confident as you on the player front, but that's just where I am right now. That's just where I am right now. I'm a little bit concerned that they might be trying to do it on the cheap and all this sort of stuff, but that's for another day. You don't need to hear my rantings. But Lockie, where you at with it, mate? Are you worried? Are you relaxed? Where's your head at?
Honestly, it probably shockingly similar to Andrea.
Yeah.
But do you know what it is? It seems like everything's going and nothing's coming in. But when you actually look at it, not that many have actually gone that are part of the first squad.
Can tell you're in Manchester. There were police cars in the background, bro.
No.
It's in Italy? Oh, right, okay, there you go. Sorry, it's in Italy.
There's just someone screaming here.
Yeah, it's similar everywhere these days.
Yeah, true.
But, like, all these, and they are all rumours, aren't they? We saw stuff earlier on in the window about Georgina Rutter, which went away. We saw stuff about Gruev. He was apparently gone. That went. We're all talking here about how we're going to replace Gruev. He's still here at the club, and there's nothing since. The only one, and same for Firpo, right? You see rumours of him now. Every day there's another player that's leaving. They're not going anywhere at this point. The only two, for me, I think are obvious leavers are Sommerville and Gnonto. I think the others are, I'm not sure, I'm not convinced they'll go. I'm really not. And when you look at it from that perspective, when we talk about earlier on in the pre-season, when we talk about who's go, we all said Sommerville will probably go. We all said Gnonto is likely to go. We were a bit unsure about him, but let's be honest, if a team in the Prem or something wants him, he'll go. The only one for me really that is shocking is Kamara. I didn't expect that. That did hit me by a shock a bit, to be honest. Especially how quick it happened as well. It seemed to happen in a day, didn't it? I know he had his medical yesterday or today, but that happened straight away. That shocked me. But I come back to what Andrea said on what was said originally about all this situation is we're not looking to sell unless the players wish to leave. Now, not only is that a good thing for any club to do, Man City do it, for example. Pep Guardiola says all the time, if you don't want to be here, we'll sell you if someone gives you the price. It's simple as that. Now, and that's the manager as well. That's down to the manager. Like Andrea said, the managers, they want players who are 100% committed. If Kamara said to him, look, I've seen the offer from Rennes, I'd like that chance. That's not a player that is 100% committed to the club. Now, that is detriment to us because that means we lose Glenn Kamara, who's a good player. But the problem for me, like Andre said as well, last year, when it really came down to it and look at that player final, there were certain players who were not in it for the team at that point. When it got really difficult, players crawled up and some stood up. The one who stood up for me, like Andre said, Rodon, that playoff final, tried everything. He did more than our attackers to try and score. The Joe Rodon, and he's here now, and I'm happy with that. It's a fine margin between being patient and getting annoyed, and I understand it. It's taking a long time, but I said this last year, and I got called all sorts of words. I said we'll bring players in at the end. We're just waiting. We're seeing who's going, and I think that's a similar situation. I think it'll happen quicker. I do. I think it's 17 days really since the Archie Gray sale, isn't it? And we brought in 3. I think there'll be 3 more by the end of this month. Or maybe 2. I genuinely believe that. I honestly don't think we'll lose anyone but maybe Sommerville and Gnonto. I really don't. I could be wrong. Firpo might go, but let's see. Let's see until more things. There's only really one publication in there, let's be honest, that said that. One, and are they reliable? So I don't know.
Also, Chiringuito is reliable. For me, it's reliable. El Chiringuito. I know that's ABC Sevilla and all of that, but Chiringuito in the end, it's a good show in Spain. So sometimes, of course, they get it wrong.
The place that reported it is you saying it's quite.
The first one I saw was El Chiringuito. Yeah. Then the others, I think, reposted it. Sometimes they get it wrong, but sometimes also they get it right. So it's a 50-50 situation.
Wasn't it the top publication in Germany that mentioned about Gruev leaving as well, and he's still here?
Yeah, of course. Like they don't.
It's like that, 50-50.
Yeah, it is, and that's why until they're gone. Look, if we come back next week, Firpo's gone, Gnonto's going, Sommerville's going. I'll be like, right, I get the other two, but we've lost Kamara and Firpo in the space of 2 weeks. That's not good because they're players you'd like to keep. But right now, look, I've always been like this. This is the way I am. It's the middle of July. I ain't got the mental capacity to be stressed in the middle of July. That comes in August, September. I'm not dealing with it now. It's still the summer, Joe. You know what I mean? I can't get overthinking a bit. But I agree predominantly with what Andre said. Like, I want players that are here at the main. That's all I'm really bothered about. If that takes a little longer, I don't care if they come. It's if they come, isn't it? That's what we're.
I think. Yeah, I take both your points. I think the way I see it, and maybe I'm being quite negative right now, and it's because of the lack of business or whatever. And, I think the way I'm seeing it, though, as well, and there is a point in what you make, if someone don't want to be here, they won't be here. But I also almost read it as, if we get an offer that we think's financially viable, we'll also sell. I think that's where I see it. With the 49, I don't think anyone's unsellable under them in the current guys. Last season it was different. I think they maybe thought first time of asking, keep on at the best players, will bounce straight back. This season now it's very much, okay, we need to be a little bit careful. So if someone slaps up enough money like Kamara where they go, you can have him for that price. I feel that that's almost the same with any player within the squad, including Rutter, including, other. Yeah, that's where I'm at the minute, and of course that may change, but that's where my head's at the minute. I'm a little bit worried that it's almost like anybody's for sale as long as you give us enough money.
I don't think it's like that, mate, honestly.
But when you
for certain players, yes.
When you really deep that though, isn't that the case for?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Like even Barcelona, they might say 300 million, but you know what I mean. There is a price for every single player. I guess it's. How much does Daniel Farke want to keep them, and how in cahoots is he with the board and the ownership about I want this player? Like Ampadu, for example, if a team came in for Ampadu, I'll categorically say this now, and I hope I don't jinx it. I don't think we'll sell him for any price this season. I don't think there'll be. You know what I mean? I think there's certain players that are untouchable.
Absolutely.
And I argue like someone like Ampadu is one of them. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, the next few weeks are big. They're important. The next few weeks are very important.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, because we go away to Germany as well, and ideally he needs his players with him, doesn't he? Danny Talks Sports says, good to see the three amigos back together. I think we're doing it on the cheap, and I think we have done our shopping in this window.
No. I don't think so. I think there's plenty.
I slightly disagree on the cheap thing.
I've been saying it like I can't like cheap.
So for me, if we were, I'd argue we'd have brought in more players, to be honest. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cheap options out there that other championship teams are signing. You look at and go, they're decent players we probably could have brought in. I think the fact that it's taking so long, obviously, is down to the outgoings and understanding what squad you have. But I also think that might be down to the fact that we're going for more difficult targets, because difficult targets have more suitors. And with more suitors, negotiations take longer. A lot of it is down to the player deciding. A lot of it is down to the club waiting for a replacement for that player before they can sell him on. So for me, I think you can argue both ways, obviously, but I think there's an aspect of actually we're going for higher ticket items that might take longer. But again, we'll find out.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, and lads, and cheap doesn't mean bad.
No, true.
Specifically, doesn't mean not smart. I think there's signings. If you look at Brentford and Brighton when they got to the Premier League, or even Brentford when they tried to build a squad to get promoted, the way they developed their project in the Championship in order to get to the Premier League, and how they develop it after they got promoted in the end, they made smart signings, not spending much, like Atalanta did in Italy, They got promoted, I think it was back in 2012, 2011, then they developed season after season with smart signings.
Bologna as well, Andre.
Yeah, Bologna. Look at Bologna now too. You need to make smart signings. Look at them now. They've sold Bologna Zirkzee for a great amount of money. Calafiori will go for a great amount of money. Unfortunately, Christiansen went back to Leicester, of course, because they developed him, but he was on loan, so he returned to Leicester, and now Leicester have a good player on their hands because he developed compared to the last.
How do you feel about Calafiori coming to the Premier League, mate? Yeah, a little bit gutted.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine, especially with Ben White next to him. Honestly,
yeah.
Not next to him because he's left-footed, but in the same defense, I think they're two similar players. Of course, Calafiori can play also as a right centre back because he's very good with both feet. But yeah, I think he's gonna be good, honestly, in the Premier League. I'm excited to see him there. I think he will improve again.
Yeah. Just want to pick up on this. Listen, bro, we got bigger fish to fry than fucking worrying about Bamford right now. Trust me, we have got bigger fish to fry. Just while we're talking about this, obviously this came out in the last couple of hours. Hairy Crackling. Those that are in the space know about Hairy Crackling.
The Fabrizio Romano of Leeds.
Yeah, the Fabrizio Romano of Leeds. He's been speaking about Sommerville. This may break a few hearts. I mean, listen, I love to say I hate to say I told you so, but I always like to say I told you so. But we all believe Sommerville was going to go, I think, on this panel. Some people still felt he might stay. Lewis still says we'll keep Sommerville. But Harry Crackling's been speaking on the Wacko. He said he'll end up where he ends up, but apparently he's got his idea in his head that Liverpool is his destination. Not sure whether Slot fancies him or what the chances are of it happening. I suggest he will have to settle for elsewhere. There was talk of German clubs being interested, but the money is an issue. And basically, he's saying the player only wants one club, so we could have another situation like we did do with Rafinha. And he does finish it off to say he won't be staying though, so people can get that daft idea out of their head. I don't want to be like rude, but I have been calling people deluded for thinking that Sommerville stays, and it could be an issue that he might only want Liverpool. Maybe that's why the Brighton deal didn't go through, and therefore Liverpool know this and can wait till the last minute, and they can go, there's 30 million, take it or leave it. There's 25 with add-ons, take it or leave it. Go on.
See, this is the one that'll annoy me because in a way, Kamara, for example, is gone. I'm glad he's gone now as opposed to mid-August. Yeah. Imagine how awkward and annoying that'd be. I'm glad it's now. I'm glad the talks of Gnonto are now and not, again, mid-August. This one could drag on to that. Do you know what I mean? If he's waiting for Liverpool, this could go right to the end. And that's not ideal. When you're trying to get a replacement in, the replacement isn't going to come unless he's guaranteed game time. And if Sommerville is still at the club with maybe 4 or 5 days of the window left, he might say, well, he might stay, so I might not get game time. So I just hope whatever happens, there's an agreement on price. I'm interested what that will be, to be honest. But I want this done. I don't want this to drag on.
What is an acceptable fee, Lockie?
Oh, honestly, I have no idea.
We got 40 for Gray, in effect.
Well, yeah, 40 for Gray, obviously, with his age and how much he played last season and his English
potential
as well.
And English.
Yeah. Philogene didn't have a great season like Sommerville, but had a decent one. He's going for around that 15 to 20. Something like that. So I think somewhere between there. I don't know.
15 to 20?
No, somewhere between.
Right. I was going to say 15 to 20 people will have a meltdown. No, I think it could be 30.
About 25.
30, I agree with you. I'm with you on this one. 30, I think, because if you look at other players, it's still, debatable because I was angry when I saw Archie Gray going for 40, Then see Elliot Henderson. We know how these things work, but Elliot Henderson going for 32, 35 from Newcastle to Nottingham Forest, of course they need to sell players. Look at also what happened with Luis Hall from Chelsea to Newcastle, and I'm gonna just end here and I'm gonna say nothing more about those transfers, because I have my own ideas on this one. But yeah, I think the real value of Sommerville is probably around 30. honestly, to be fair. And apparently it's what we're asking for Gnonto. But I think it's the real value for Gnonto is between 15 and 20 right now, because if you look at how much Juventus spend for Kerfen Thuram, for example, they spent less. Of course, the different role, but there's plenty of players that went for more money. You know, let's remember that those two players are still championship players and they didn't get promoted. So that has a toll on the value too.
I'm still thinking, lads, who's paying that value for Gnonto? If that's the value, who's going to do that?
Yeah. No Italian club, that's for sure. I think only a Premier League club.
Will Everton? Do you think they'll pay the 25, 30 value?
Who's that?
I don't think so.
Everton.
Who
I
Everton?
think they will.
Oh, Everton. Sorry.
They're just selling Amadou Onana to Villa for 50 million. So
I think they'll overspend if they spend 25 or 30.
Yeah,
we will be happy with that money, of course, but there will be overspending for me.
It sounds wild, but I'd be happy with 15 with add-ons. Is that wild?
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think it's wild. I don't think it's wild. That's what I mean. Because in the end, if you look at how we entered last season, you know, it wasn't after a good season in the Premier League. Good season, I mean, he had good moments, sure, good signs, you know, for things to come. But last season, he had the injuries, of course. But the season started on the wrong foot, you know, because of the whole saga of the transfer, managed and, badly managed by his agent. But he was not faultless, of course, Gnonto, because, of course, in the end, you make your own choices. But in the end, he didn't have a good season for me. It was only moments. He had good moments through the season, but he never had consistency. Looking at how the player was highly valued, both by the fans and, of course, the environment at Leeds, you know, I expected way more. He could have had a season like Sommerville, looking at, you know, going into the season, because going into the season, Gnonto, because it was capped by Italy, he had caps for Italy, you know, he had more impact than Sommerville, you know, in terms of how he was praised in the Premier League. He was expected more than Sommerville, honestly, I think, by a few. But he didn't perform. He didn't have consistency. So if in the Premier League, nobody expected him to have a great impact like he had, you know, arriving from Zurich from the Swiss League, you know, let's remember the Manche, considering for the under-23s at the beginning, you know, the under-21s on the beginning. He made 2 steps forward in the Premier League, and he made 3 steps backwards after last season, you know, because, of course, he made a good assist in the playoffs, but apart from moments in the game, he struggled tactically to find a position. He struggled tactically to read on the right. I think he's way better on the left. Running on the left, we had Sommerville. Yeah. So I think if one or both go, you free the space for Rotor to be on the wing for me, honestly. Because I think Rotor did well in the 10, but we have Aronson too. I would like to see another 10 coming on, arriving at Leeds. And if that's the case, I think Rotor will be moved on the wing by Farke, honestly.
And that's it, lads. You know what it is, right? And the second I see Aronson in training, that's going to get me excited a little bit. It's that bad. I don't know. I just think at this level, I think it'll be ridiculous at this level. I can't lie.
We called it. Well, we've caught. I think he will as well, mate. We said as much, didn't we? We'll see, though. We'll see. Just on this as well, I agree with you. Like, everyone keeps saying, no way will we sell that because of that sell-on clause. But one day you're going to have to sell him, folks. Yeah. And his stock might go say stays for 6 months till January. His stock might be even less. And then we'll be like, yeah, but that 30 million sell-on, what we're going to do, just keep going until that sell-on clause isn't going to go. So ultimately, you're just going to have to like it or lump it. It is what it is. You can't go, well, we can't sell him now because we'll owe 30%, but we'll try again in a year where he might have risen, he might not. I think I agree with Jer. Just look, he don't want to be here. We need money. Just get him gone. Was he as effective as we first felt? No, probably get him on. And include our own sell-on clause in that deal as well. Because he could, if he does hit the heights, because he's clearly still, you know, got huge potential. Oh, I just want, if they're not going to be here, my worry is, and Graham Smith's mentioned this all the way throughout, and that's where the Harry Crackling stuff worries me a little bit, because if he is holding out for Liverpool, and if he does refuse moves,
that's a problem, yeah.
That's a problem. And if we get to the end of the... Yeah, and at the end... and we get to the end, and then Liverpool give us money and he says, I want to go, then we're up shit creek without a paddle. So just get it done as soon as possible. And then we can just try buy some players before you do, though. Because if he goes and Gnonto goes before any more players, I'm telling you, I don't think I'll be able to cope. Jack, I don't think it is. I don't think it is for him. I genuinely don't think it is. I don't.
Not at this point.
No.
Start of last year it would have been. Not at this point.
No,
after
yeah,
had a great
exactly.
season.
Yeah, 15 with some add-ons, rising to 20. I don't know, 18 rising to 25. Something
Everybody
like that.
expected him to lead up the championship, and he didn't.
Yeah.
That's it. He didn't get into this Italy squad, lads. You've seen him firsthand, you know how poor we were. So.
And this is true, Dale. You're right. He hasn't. He didn't have a great season. You know,
it's like I said on Philogene going for 15, 20 million.
Yeah.
And Philogene had a better season than Gnonto. And the similar age
Philogene
as
was well better, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
And I would argue Philogene might have a higher ceiling potentially. Do you know what I mean? Or is that wrong?
I think they both could, but
yeah, similar.
Yeah.
And Villa have took him back. You know what I mean? No one's knocking down the door for Gnonto. Everton are. Villa are in the Champions League next year, people.
Yeah.
They've snapped him back. Boom. Oh, you're going to Ipswich? Nah, we're having you back. Everton for Gnonto. And no one else.
Philogene is more suited right now to how he reads the game tactically, to how he stays in the game mentally throughout the whole game. But that's a difference he has with Gnonto is surely Philogene as a more mad agent, you know. Have you read what happened? You know, that his agent went to Barcelona to take pictures in front of the training ground in order to try to create a move to Barcelona, and the security, you know, told him off at the ground like 3 weeks ago, you know.
Funny that,
so some people, the football is getting mad, lads. I don't believe these things are happening right now, but they are. It's getting mad and mad.
It is, man. You're right. Right, before we get into the scouting report and we start to look at right backs, I want to flash up this graphic which I've been doing for the last couple of days just to show everyone the current state of it. Right, okay. This is the current state of the squad. Now you could add Crew because Crew's looks like he probably is going to play a lot more than I first envisaged. The fact he's been involved in pre-season, he scored the other day. Oh, what did you make to Harry Gray getting a call up for the first team, by the way, at 10 minutes? That's wild.
Yeah.
Leeds United Camino, where we're getting clones. You know, Archie Gray going, and we have Harry Gray in.
Yeah,
Charlie Cresswell going, we have Alfie Cresswell going in. This is like Leeds United Camino, you know. It's getting like that, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, like this is threadbare, isn't it? This is threadbare, and of course we might lose Sommerville, we might lose Gnonto. There was talk of Firpo, but that's cooled a little bit, but that won't go away either, probably. You know, ultimately every player's got a price, right? So that's where we're at. We're looking at right backs. We've got Sam Byram currently because we know Christensen's probably going to exit on loan. I mean, I don't know how he's got that move to the Bundesliga, but it is what it is. So let's talk about it. Are we going to start with Bogle? Has anyone done Bogle, by the way? Oh, no, they're not bothered. Right, well, we know.
just because I thought that was, you know.
Yeah, that's on.
Bogle and others, yeah.
It wasn't you, Joe. You had to do Bogle.
Did I? Right, okay. Well, Jaden Bogle's very good right back.
Yeah, just to clarify, though, he would be in this, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And look, we know Leeds United have had 2 bids rejected. They're clearly keen on him. Sheffield United went close to 7. We've bid 2 bids of 4, or thereabouts. Let's say, for example, Leeds United failed to meet that asking price. This is where we need to look at other options. We could potentially need to look at another option anyway. So, who's up first, and who wants to take us away?
Andrea, you're up, mate.
Okay. I think we need to start this year. We're doing it a little bit different, you know. The first thing we'll do is this. We're gonna have a sneak peek into the famous list, then go into the 3 players because everyone kept asking the list last season. So here's the list.
We're doing 3 each, right? Not 5.
3 each. Yeah.
So it's short, people. Don't worry.
Yeah. While I go through the list, you can try to guess who they are. You know. Now, Joe, tell me how much I have to put it like more more zoom in, zoom
Yeah,
out?
you need to zoom in, bro.
Yeah.
Zoom in.
Okay. Tell me when to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try. It's done here. Sorry.
There. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. So, what I've done in the last hours, because I've done this in in recent hours, is trying to look at players, right backs that might fit the system, and I've looked at a top right back in terms of we need to spend money, consistent money to get him. A good option in terms of good money, good player, and an option for the future that, of course, if Christensen stays, but very difficult, you need to get another, understudy in terms of player with potential in his place, or a similar player to what Archie was, an upcoming youngster, basically. So this is the famous list for the right backs. As you can see, looking at my home country, I've placed Leonardo Cernicona for Cremonese, Jackson Chachua from Verona. He has his interest apparently from the Premier League too. Apparently Everton are interested in him. I think the Irish will know Festia Busele from Udinese, Pasquale Mazzocchi from Napoli, Silvan Efti from Genoa. He played at Montpellier last season. Candela, we had a very good season, and he's very, very good in terms of how we play. Very versatile, very, overlap player in terms of right back. And Tommaso Barbieri from Juventus, he was at Pisa. Then in Spain, you might raise an eyebrow when you see Alvaro Di Rosola, but he was injured for the majority of last season. He's 28. So if you want to spend some money, he had just, I think, 9 last year. Yeah, 12 appearances for Real Sociedad last season. So if you want to spend big money, I've watched that he has very few appearances for Real Madrid. And that's why he moved to Real Sociedad, but he had just 12 appearances, so 28. If he wants to play to be a starter, because he's not a starter at Real Sociedad, of course. Yeah, if you want to spend me money, that's surely a name. Andy Orazio from Rayo Vallecano, another player that was very good at the Euros. Omar El Hilali, who Loki knows very well from Espanyol. From Germany, Stefan Leiner from Gladbach, 31, already played under Farke, recently returned after after beating a health problem. He had a very serious health problem, but he beat that and we're very happy to know that. John Joe Kenny from Hertha Berlin. From France, 2 players from Nantes, 1 player at Verona last season in Serie A, Fabien Sentons and Kevin Amian. From the Netherlands, Marcus Pedersen played at Sassuolo last season. Alfons Stansted from Twente and then Sokazis from AZ Alkmaar. Austria, Yusuf Gazibegovic, we already know him because he was in our scouting reports in the past. Bendegus Bolla. Yeah.
All the names and Max Johnson.
Max Johnson.
I remember that guy though, Gazi Begovic. I remember.
Yeah, you remember because he was like the heir to Laszlo Benes. It was the second most talked player on this channel. Yeah. Then we have Morgala and Jazic, 2 other good players. From Greece, Lazaros Rota from AK Athens and Georgios Vagianidis from Panathinaikos. Zan Karnichnik, I think he was very good at the Euros. Looking at the age, if you want a consistent player, a reliable player, I think he's a good price. He plays at Chelsea, it won't be difficult to get him, honestly. He was very good at the Euros, honestly. From Czechia, Dudera from Slavia Prague and Angelo Preciado from Sparta. Another returning player, Marcus Carlson from Hammarby. He was in the January scouting report that we did. Then loan options, and then we arrived to England. Martin Fernandez, 18-year-old from Porto. It can be a good loan option. As well as Lendelkovic from Aston Villa, because he won't get much minutes. They play in the Champions League. He has many players ahead of him, so they will try to loan him out, I think. And it can be a good option to 18 years old. I think Stevens had a very good season with Oxford United last season. He's back at Brentford, so it can be another good option. Then we have the usual suspects, Trent Hume, Milan Van Ewijk, Connor Roberts, Jayden Bogle, Callum Britton, Brook Norton-Cuff, who was back at Arsenal. And, of course, he's not getting into that side. So, again, after playing like 40-plus games at Millwall, he knows the Championship. He played in a playoff final with Coventry. He can be another good option, Even permanently, honestly, I think. Not just alone. If you want to spend some money, he can be a good player to spend money on. Then the last 2, again, if you want to spend some good money, but I don't think they have interest from the top leagues, Konoplyan Timchik from the Ukrainian national team, so Shakhtar and Dynamo Kiev. So this is the famous list. Now, going to the 3 players, we're gonna start with this one. Let me get the player on. Okay. So the first one.
Sorry, just before you do, bro, Carl, this is not true, because if you watch the scouting report last year, we got about 3 or 4, maybe 3.
Ampadu,
2, 3.
Byram, Rodon. Byram was in this list. Actually, we didn't talk about him, but there was like a screenshot I saw. I sent to Joe, and Joe published it on Twitter. But we got Ampadu and Rodon, and another one, but I don't remember the other one. Honestly.
So we were close to it. Yeah. So
Spence.
Spence may have been on there. Yeah, Spence could have been.
Yeah, he was. I remember talking about him and Norton Cuffy, I think. Yeah.
There we go. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me see. You see that?
Yes, I do. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Tell me when it's on, because I don't see yours on the screen now.
Yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
Ooh, good start, Andrea.
Yeah, that'll do us, mate. Yeah, perfect.
Like this. Just a little bit. Okay, fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so we start with, again, if you want to spend some money, because in the end we have the money now, and we'll have even more money if we sell other players. So my first one, of course, they're not in order. Then I probably will. You can ask. We can ask ourselves what was the top pick at the end when we have finished the talk, But my first one is Marcus Pedersen, basically. Norwegian. We know that we have a good history of Norwegians at Leeds, of course. Right back, he played at Sassuolo last season in Serie A. And I've named him because actually he's on the market. He's back at Feyenoord, as you can see. Right now, he's back at Feyenoord. But what happened in Italy was that his agent, Jose Enrique, the former Newcastle and Liverpool player, he is basically trying to offer him, or to other clubs, because he texted on Instagram a page dedicated to the manager of Lecce, Luca Gotti. But that was a fan page. He was not the manager. He texted him like, I am the agent of this player. I'm trying to sell him, to sell him to a new club. So tell me if you like him. And he sent him like this link, this Transfermarkt page, That's what happened, basically.
Is this what's he called? The Jose Enrique, right? He used to play for Liverpool. Yeah.
The former Liverpool player, exactly. Yeah. So 24 years of age. If you look at his career, you can play on both sides. Contract till 2026, but good value too, 5 million euro. If you look at the value of Conor Roberts, for example, is 7 million euros on Transfermarkt, so it's lower, this one. If you look at the value of Jayden Bogle, I have it on the list. Jayden Bogle is valued 3.8 on Transfermarkt. So this is the difference too, If you look at his history, from Tromsø, then Molde, then Feyenoord, we can move to FBref next. So looking at his career,
Just zoom in a little bit on this one as well, Andrea. Yeah, that'll do,
Yeah. Look at this. I noticed it right now. JUSTJOE was on the list. Is the first one, and Mazzocchi compared to Pedersen. Didn't notice that. Yeah, basically, if you look at this scouting report, of course, Sassuolo had a very difficult season. So if you look at the stats, you see, I don't think he's very good, but he is good in the end, because he's a player that, looking at SofaScore, he's a player that is consistent. He reads the game well. He has pace. He has also the capability to read the game well. Last season in Serie A, 28 games, 16 started, because I was really surprised at how Sassuolo didn't play him, honestly, because every time I saw him play, he was good. He was consistent. He performed. He's a player that is very balanced. Defends well and attacks well, So going down, let's start with the passes, You see 80% accurate passes. I'm not a big fan of stats, but, this can add something. And I know that there's people that are huge fans of stats, in the chat. So I'm going to talk about them too. 84% and 66% in the opposition half. Not a player that plays much long balls, because usually what he does is passing the ball, staying back, and then overlapping and going inside when there's the opportunity. So he's very good in a back four, but also in a back three, because in a back three, he can be the right wing back on one side. And you know that last season we played with a back three when we were in possession for large parts of the second half of the season. So he can come in handy, in that case, because he can attack. He is good in getting forward. And he's also an international player because he plays for Norway. As you can see. So I think he's very reliable. 24 is a good age. He's a player that I would really like to see. I think he will suit very quickly, adapt very quickly to English football. So, but my first pick is Marcus Pedersen from Feyenoord. They're trying to sell him. We know that for the case because of Jose Enrique now. So I think he's a player
that. You think it would cost a lot of money though, Andrea?
I think that the price here is 5. I think between 5 and 7, honestly, and that's also the value of Conor Roberts 7 on Transfermarkt currently. I think also Conor Roberts is 5 and 7. So, but 24 is a good age, and I think he will adapt very quickly to English football, better than Italian football or other leagues. And we know for a fact that there's players from Norway that is not a problem to play in the Championship. Because Weber, you remember him, I cannot play in the Championship because I won't get to the Euros. It's not a problem for the Norwegian players because you had Sanderberg, you had other players, playing in the Championship. So it's not a problem for them.
Yeah.
And this was the first one.
Nice. Are we over to you now, Lockie? We're taking it alternate, yeah?
Yeah.
Listen, folks, I want you to make sure you're taking notes as well, because at the end we're going to do a poll of which one would we most like Leeds United to sign based on what we've heard, yeah? So don't forget, folks, in the chat.
Right, 1 second. I think we're good. There we go. We'll just start. I'll just do it quickly. I won't go through it too much. Andrea already spoke about spreadsheets and stuff. So
yeah,
it's basically similar information, just formatted in a way that my brain works. I like colours. So green is basically.
Can you zoom in?
How do I do that? Bro? How do I do that?
What kind of computer are you using?
I think Lockie in. Okay, fine. You found it.
I got it.
There you go.
Look at that. Look at me go. Yeah. So basically, this is my list. I usually, when I do these lists, I try to get it to 30 players, but it got to 32. I couldn't get rid of 2. So basically, the green represents. So I do 3 tiers. So you've got out of the short list, which is the 30 players. The green is the top tier. The orange yellow is the second tier, and the red is probably not good enough, probably not ready. And then in this section here, the team/realism is how realistic it is, basically. So obviously, yellow will be difficult, green being I think it's doable, red being very difficult. And then same in market value, how much you're paying, green being reasonable, red being too much. And then obviously age as well. Prime age 21 to kind of 25. Anything younger 21 is orange because it's a little too early potentially. And then if you're older 28, you're not going to get a lot of value back on them, so that'll be red. And then similar for matches and minutes played down here as well, a certain cut-off point. But yeah, that's the basic basic thing right there. 1 second, try to get the one up. And again, I'll just show you this. I'm not gonna go through it because it's very tedious. But this is the statistical side of it that I've not actually finished colouring yet, which basically just goes on forever with everything in it. So that's the last I'll show that because that's all I see every day and it hurts my brain. So we'll get into the fun stuff now. Yeah. I'll zoom in there. So the first one, share. First one. I think a lot of you guys might know this one. I'm assuming anyway. It's Kai Janahova. Now, if you guys have not heard of this guy, he played at Stoke last season. As you can see there, obviously he's a player at Wolves, but he has been on loan in the Championship, I believe, for 2 seasons now. He was at PSV the season before last. Didn't really work out there. Went on loan in January to Stoke, did well, and then Stoke bought him on loan last season for the full season. And I can just go quickly through his last season stats here and just show how good of a season he had in a fairly poor Stoke side. Just for a start off, as you can see, 40 appearances last season, 4 goals, 5 assists for a right back in Stoke system. And then after a bit of a injury thing at the start, played 90 minutes almost all season. Probably one of their better players, I think that's fair to say. Now the player himself is obviously 22 years old. He's at Wolves, so I'm assuming with the value being 4.5 million. I don't know what you guys think, but I think this would be a loan again. I don't think it'd be a buy at this point. Maybe a loan to buy if you go up potentially with a price. But he's a very good player. He's been in the Championship. He's got that kind of experience. And I think the way we're recruiting, I think the first name on every list will ideally be a player who's played in the Championship or one who is currently in the Championship, because they know the league, they know how to get out of it, they know how to perform in the league. And that's important. And this guy, everything we look for in a fullback, everything we need under Daniel Farke, for me, this guy has it. I think he's quite, and I can just go to, I'll have to change the window. I'll go to FB Ref here. I'll show you can see from his FB Ref stats when we go down to it from last season. Look down here. This is Championship compared. So the interesting thing about him, I'll zoom in a little bit, is, of course, you can see in terms of his output, what he gets in terms of goals and assists, it's very good. 4 goals, 5 assists from a fullback is very good, especially in a fairly poor side as well, with fighting relegation. Now, the thing about the pass completion is the type of player who likes, as you can see, progressive type passes. He likes to take risks in passing. And again, that's down to a lot of how the team plays as well. When I watch him, I think he's quite adaptable. I think he's a player who can adapt to certain systems. He's got a good physical frame. He's quick and strong. And I think he's about 6 foot. So for a fullback, Daniel Farke likes tall players. We know that in defence. I think he'd work. He is similar to that Max Aaron's role for me. He has that kind of air about him, the way he plays. Very solid player, both offensively and defensively. Not crazy attacking in the sense that he'll be out of position all the time, and also not crazy defensive. I think the key thing in a lot of these options is that balance and how he progresses. And whoever is probably the bar Bogle, probably the one that you look at and say that's an obvious one because he's played at this level, at a high level as well. And for me, it's one of them that's just a bit of a no-brainer. If it's there, you can't get Bogle. I think Bogle is probably a slightly higher level because he's done it in the Premier League to an extent. But this guy is young. He's 21, so he's still got room to develop. A player I really like, a player I've liked for a few years now. He had a really good season in the Championship last year. Has all the attributes Daniel Farke will want in a fullback for me, and one that I think could be a really good get for Leeds, to be honest. 2 years on contract, like Jack says, so loan to buy potentially, maybe even go for it. I don't know. That would be down to Wolves. Wolves have got some good fullback options. Will he get a chance there? That's the question, maybe. I'd assume not yet. I think this is one of the
guy. Oh no, Aitonor is on the left, isn't he?
He's on the left.
Yeah, he's on the left.
They have Dalton Tier. They have a few players. They have 1 or 2. I can't remember the names. But like I said, that'd be the only thing.
Lembikiza, the Jamaican one.
Is that one?
At Wolves, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Jamaican. Lembikiza or Lembikiza. I don't remember the correct name, but yeah, he's at Wolves too.
I checked earlier, but I've forgotten because I'm useless. But yeah, and then you look at some of the names, like we know John Joe Kenny, who might appear later. He's a top player as well at this level. Perry and G. He'd be a very, very good. He's probably one of the best fullbacks in the Championship last year, just based on everything. To say he's playing in a poor side, he impressed me whenever I saw him. I like him. I like his attributes both physically and technically. And I think he'd work. I think he'd be a top signing for us, whether that's on loan or buy. I won't be bothered as long as he's here. For me, it's one of them players. So, yeah.
Well, the stats look exciting, don't they? Yeah. Dude on the fence says, Joe, you always look bored when the lads are talking about players. I'm listening, bro. I'm listening. Like, this is my listening. I don't know what... I can't talk when they're talking. You're probably used to seeing me like this, but I'm listening. I'm listening and learning. I'm listening and learning, bro.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it short this time too, because three
Yeah.
players and not
Like
much. You can
2
go
hours,
on your own.
2
Yeah.
hours last time, weren't it? Yeah.
You
were
can
more,
go
mate.
after this. You can go on your own to watch highlights. Search the name of the
course.
players on YouTube. Of course, we cannot show clips on this one because it will be better to show them because we can talk with the clips going on, but we cannot. So after this, go and check them out, of course, on YouTube. So now my turn, and we go back.
As well, Andrea.
Yeah.
When we
go
do
on,
this, I think the idea is we try and keep it as realistic. You know, we could say names that are maybe difficult that we've looked at, but we want to keep it. We don't want to like say we can get this guy. We want to be quite realistic. So if some of them seem a bit meh, you've got to realize.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're at and the level we're at, these are good players. These are good signings. So.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for saying that, Lucky, too, because I think it's vital and fundamental that we underline that because I've seen names, going on in recent weeks like Lojek, like either Abayo, other players, those are not realistic, lads.
Tosin Adebayo, by the way, who went Chelsea.
Chelsea and other names, we are a championship side who didn't get promoted. So we are not, we're not the club that we were, we were in the Premier League in terms of appetite, in terms of attracting players. It's a different game. You need to sometimes go out of the obvious, and try to scout players like Coventry with Van Eyck, for example, and all of that. This is us too this season, unfortunately. Until we don't get back to the Premier League, we have to try and scout players. That's it, otherwise you need to spend usually on players that are already known, and that's the main difference. So I'm ready when you're ready, Joe.
Even like in the Championship and stuff like I know he's League One now, but Jordan James and stuff and all these players, but they're going to the Premier League or to like Jordan James being linked. Someone mentioned it earlier in the chat. West Ham interested, Atalanta interested. It was the same with the lad who rocked up at Southampton from Peterborough. What was his name? Is it Ronnie Edwards?
Edwards, yeah.
Yeah, he
another
it's Premier League, unfortunately.
Another player that appeared on our reports last season.
Yeah.
And he went to Saints, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They keep going to other teams,
Yeah, they do, don't they? The image I can see, Andrea, is just us. Oh, there we go.
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah. Tell me when it's on.
An Italian.
Yeah, it's on.
Finally, an Italian.
Yeah, the Italian. Leonardo San Nicola, former player of my fantasy team 2 years ago when he was in Serie A. And he had just 2 goals and 2 assists, but he was, always good ratings, so it was good. But I don't judge players based on their fantasy team rating. So just looking at...
That's me, bro. That's me that does that.
No, but I like to play it, but this time, we're looking, of course, at the player himself, So as you can see, 26 years of age, so he's already still young in a way, in the middle, in the middle of his career, basically, going to the peak of his career, basically. 27, 28 is the peak of a player career, basically, in terms of development. So still a good age, but also experience. And you can see also the versatility, the amount of times he played, in different positions, because he's 1.87 meters. I don't know how much he is feet and inches, because, but he's very tall compared to other right backs,
5'10", 5'11", I think.
5'10", 5'11". I still don't get why use that system, to be fair, because everyone
That's
else
not tall, man. 5'10", 5'11's not tall. I'm 5'8".
It's 1.87 meters. Someone in the chat say how much tall he is, because I can figure it out. Sorry. Someone help us in the chat and tell us how tall he is. But as you can see, very versatile, because he's a player that is very technical. I've seen him firsthand live this season, of course, in Serie B 2 times against Reggiana.
He's 6'1". 6'1".
6'1". Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was really surprised, honestly. Cremonese finished last in Serie A in 2022, 2023, but he was one of the best players. Valeri, the opposite fullback, the left back, eventually stayed in Serie A because he went to Frosinone. San Nicola stayed in Serie B. And I was really surprised to see him stay, because he was very good in Serie A. He was very good. And of course, he was too good for Serie B last season. 5 assists and 2 goals, 1 in the playoffs. They lost the final against Venezia, basically against Venice. But he is a player that I really like to see, because He's tall. He's fast. He reads the game well. Goes inside also. He overlaps and underlaps. Another balanced players because he can defend and he can attack. As you can see by his stats, look at this. This is the percentage, in this case against fullbacks, of course. Progressive carries. This is what I noticed, take-ons, carries. These are the stats that we need to look at here. Look at the percentage. Yeah, 8 per game. Progressive passive rec, very good. Progressive carries 4, 5 per game, very good again. He's a player that likes to get forward, likes to get towards till the end of the flank of the wing. Crosses very well. Goes inside. Pass completion is 55%, still above the 50, so above the half, of course. But what I like the most is that the progressive carries, how he moves without the ball, how he reads the game well. He doesn't touch the ball very often compared to other fullbacks, but when he touches it, he's always in a chances creation opportunity situation, we can say, basically. So going to SofaScore, these are the Serie B stats. As you can see, you can play on both sides, basically.
Which we could do with,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we could do with that.
Exactly. We can do with that. And also, I don't look usually at the ratings of SofaScore, of course, but these are very good. Basically, 7, 7, 7, 7. I think he was one of the best, if not the best, right back in the league last season. And he's a player that is very reliable again. Passes 85%, 89, 70%.
Quick question, Andrea.
Yeah.
Just like where do you rank City a bit? Because obviously I remember Cellino coming in and he brought, just Ducara, Tommy Nicaragua, I think, and
Ducara, De Fabro, Bianchi, Antonucci, Belushi.
Yeah. Antonucci was a baller, by the way. I think he was so talented with the ball at his feet.
I loved him. Yes.
Benedicic.
But were they all Serie B or were they or lower? Is that where they were at?
They were in Serie B, yeah, but Serie B was way lower at the time. I think the level has risen a lot, and it's the second best second-tier league behind the Championship in Europe.
Okay.
He's so entertaining, very similar to the Championship in terms of level. You see many players that play in the Championship going to Serie B, and many players that play in Serie B going to the Championship. For example, last season, Birmingham at Aivu. There were other players, Latelat at Middlesbrough. In Serie B, you had Jan Makler at Pisa. He played for Millwall in the past. So I think they're very similar leagues. And I think, Sir Nicola, looking at the way he plays, he's a player that will fit perfectly into the system, honestly. Perfectly because he's a player with a mentality too. He's a player that with attitude. He's a player that reads the game well, goes inside. Tell me, Lucky.
I was going to say, didn't Latte Laf came from Serie B, right?
Yeah.
Well?
Because he was, he played also in Serie C the third year at Timolese. Right. So, Serie B has risen a lot, honestly, in recent times. Unfortunately, there's not much right backs I see at Leeds, maybe at other championship club, but Sir Nicola, honestly, I think he can do a job in a top championship side, honestly, looking at how he plays. Maybe not a big name. Basically, the translation also in English is Sir Nicholas, like the one in Harry Potter. But I think he's a player that is ready for the next step. And I will be very surprised to see him stay at Cremonese despite the contract to 2028 this season. I think he will go either Serie A or abroad, honestly. Or Palermo, maybe. But Palermo are usually spending the City money now, the Man City money. Yeah.
Boys, just a thing. Archie Gray started at left back for Spurs tonight.
Interesting. He did that pre-season for us, didn't he? Didn't he play left back for us?
Bit mad, isn't it? Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So another coach seen him as a fullback potentially.
Yeah, weird that, innit?
Yeah,
weird that, innit?
Weird, very weird that. Yeah.
We'll stump his development if he does that.
No, yeah. We'll see. Great shout though, Andrea. Thank you very much for that. I think the versatility of the player really, really excites me as well, because I feel that we've got that much work to do. We could do with like a way I've been seeing it is like a centre back that can play right back, a centre back that can play left back, that can just dovetail between both positions if needed. Because last thing I want is to see Ampadu back at centre back. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's been even shouts of Gruev at left back, and I'm like, no, let's not do this.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's very good with both feet too. So yeah, that's why he plays also on the left, because he's very good with his left foot too. So he can play on both sides, because if you ask him about the preferred foot, both basically he can play with both feet. Sorry, not foot.
It's all right, mate. Your English is amazing. Don't worry about it. It's better than our Italian, trust me.
Yes.
How's the Spanish going, by the way?
Well, it hasn't been, mate.
Oh, sorry. No,
That's being kiboshed. I don't want to think about that sort of stuff right now.
I swear it was not a reference to the Euro final. I swear, because
No,
I swear it wasn't. I swear it wasn't. I realized after. I realized after I said it. I realized it wasn't. Sorry for that. I realized it wasn't. It wasn't a reference. Go on. It wasn't a reference. Sorry.
Who did you lose to, Andrea?
To Switzerland.
Let's do Kevin and Babu next, then, please.
He's actually in my long list.
I know, I've seen him. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
he's in red though, because he's not realistic.
No, I've seen that. Yeah.
Right, we're ready.
Yes, we're ready, man.
This. You might know him, Andrea, and maybe he was bad when he was in Italy, but watched a lot of this guy this year, and he's improved a lot. And he's got a great name. A good name's always good in it. Let's be honest. That's not why I chose him, by the way. It's got a good name, but it's Brian Reynolds.
No, mate. It's him again. Former Roma player.
Really? Okay.
Nearly played for them. I think 2 caps, 2 appearances.
Yeah, I went to Roma, went to Corrieric, and then obviously moved to Westerlo, where this year he's been really good. There's a few wingers I'm watching in like the lower end of Germany, of Belgium. So this guy's just, I've been watching going, who's that guy? So yeah, well, obviously he's a right back. That's the video. The thing that I really like about this guy, again, 23 years old, you got to look at it like that. He is a very tall, physical fullback again. But one thing I absolutely love about this guy is his drive. His drive is excellent. And I mean, on the ball, off the ball, a key aspect of his play that I absolutely love is the speed and power and aggression he gets forward with. He finds gaps and he'll just drive into them. And I can't not envision a right side of this guy and Dan James. I think that would be devastating. Like they're both direct, quick forward runners. It would be a joke. So I can't help but think that. But yeah, last season, obviously, Andrea said he was at Roma, went to Westerlo, 3.5 million. I just think, I don't know what he's like in Italy, Andrea. I don't know what you know about him. But I watched quite a bit of him this year, and he really impressed me. I'll go into his stats really this season. But yeah, so for a very poor side as well, by the way, 27 games and 4 assists this season. As caps for the US as well. I think he's 7 caps for the US as well. Yeah, a player, look, as you can tell, he's not a terrible side. But a player I really liked, one that I didn't really expect to be doing this on, but one that it's really impressed me this season. And I'll go into his FB ref stats now. I'll go into it here. As you can see, just that kind of that solid base and that progression, the type of player that we need and I like a lot. I think it's important that a player under Daniel Farke, for me, needs progression. I think it's important for fullbacks. You see the way we attack. We like to be narrow at times of our wingers, so like to invert. And that's where it's key that your fullbacks progress forward. Otherwise, you're stuck. And this guy does that. Any chance, he'll absolutely just run forward. And you can see there by his progressive passes, but also carries. So he can progress forward passing and carrying. And again, similar to Hover, the pass completion is based on the fact that he likes to take risky passes forward a lot. And he likes playing the front foot. And again, just looking at, similarities in his kind of graph, you can see kind of that all-round base that he has in terms of his carries. And he's also a decent defender. One thing I'll say about this guy is, and from what I've seen this season, he doesn't get beat on the outside. He's really good. If a winger tries to get past him, because he's got that really quick 5-10 yards pace straight away, he can go shoulder to shoulder with anyone, and he's good at getting his body across. He's strong. I think that's what maybe we're lacking in that position, that real physical presence. And Daniel Farke, as we know, likes physical defenders, and I think it's fit that perfectly as well. And he's got I'll show you the heat map here. You can see the heat map. One thing that I absolutely love about him, talking about his movement and the way he gets forward, but also the fact that he can go on the outside or on the inside. Again, something we like to do with our fullbacks is inverting them. He can do that, and he's comfortable doing that. That's key. He can dribble as well. Like this guy gets the ball in the space in front of him. Best believe he'll dribble a bit forward. And I ain't got them here. I was looking at his dribbling stats on Y-Scout earlier, and his dribble stats are very good for a fullback. He makes around 5 dribbles per game, and it's about a 55-6% success, which is very good. So he's a player I like. I think he's got that. I think he's developed a lot. I don't know what it was like the last few seasons, but he's definitely developed a lot this year. Go on, Joe.
Yeah, if you want me to add something about his time in Italy, he was very young. They got him from Dallas, I remember. In the MLS, he played like as a winger, as an offensive player. So, as you said, it took time for him to adapt to being a defender, basically. Because when he was in Roma, he didn't have a defined position. I think he had just 2-3 appearances for Roma, then they constantly loaned him out. And because he really struggled, he was really terrible in Italy. So I didn't catch up. I didn't follow what he did. 6. I didn't follow what he did abroad because, of course, he went to very average sites. But I had heard he had improved. Seeing him also, being called up by the USA, basically under 23, the prospective Olympic team. So. Of course, I'm like Joe in this one. I'm listening to you and for the recent news,
Yeah. So I was looking earlier on this, and so the club is at Westerlo currently. They've rejected the move to the Olympics because they don't have right back options. But they also, I've looking like at some journalists over there, said that if there's a right offer, they are willing to sell him, which I think is that's what you want to hear, obviously. And I think a player now who, for me anyway, in a poor side last year in Belgium in the Pro League, impressed me a lot whenever I saw him. Just the way he just seemed to be so secure on the ball and so secure in himself, in the player he was. He knew kind of his role. Defending 1v1 really impressed me. He kind of matched. He had a sensible air about him defending, but he was also aggressive. And then going forward, honestly, I can't envision him and. Well, I can envision, and I love it. Him and Dan James on one side is, trust me, no one will get past them both. Let's put it that way. And going forward, no one will stop them.
Like, we do need something akin to what we had on the left-hand side, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's something we do need, because one thing's for sure is that the right-hand side just was nowhere near as effective as that left-hand side. Now, I don't know if that was because he wanted it to go all down the left, but I'm assuming he would like the same on the right, like he did at Norwich, right? So it would be nice to have, two players like you've just mentioned there that can do that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Archie was excellent, but the thing that he didn't quite develop as much as he wanted was that round the box play. He didn't do it. He didn't really overlap that much. This guy would. He loves it. It's what he does, and like you said, it's important that we have that balance. Like with Firpo down that side, he would get forward. He likes getting forward, and he knows what to do in that position. Whereas Archie was new to it, so that's something he needs to develop. This guy's developed this year at this club, and I'm seeing about price there. Westerlo struggled last season. They're not a rich club. I'm assuming it wouldn't cost a lot, if I'm being honest. For them, probably 4 or 5 million is a lot of money. They can reinvest into the squad. So
where is that league, bro?
Less.
Where are they? Sorry,
Belgium first year. Yeah.
Okay.
Pro League, yeah.
So there's a few players there that are really good, actually, that I think they could do at least. But yeah, a player I really like, mate. Honestly, that's probably the league. That and Eredivisie, probably obviously by the Championship, the one I've watched most this year. And anytime I've seen this guy, and on Bundesliga too, this guy's impressed me. I think
what we have to think about as well, bro, like, if you look at Jordan Miles' time at West Ham, he did bring over Soufal and he did bring over Souček, that were both in the Czech league at the time, right? So he will have eyes on these sorts of markets, I'd believe,
There's gems.
Hopefully.
There's a lot of gems in these leagues. And you look at the Championship, from a defensive perspective, the Championship is physical. Different attacking, it's more about flair these days in the attacking sides. But as a defensive unit, physicality, but I was physical, I don't mean strength, I mean more the stamina throughout the game and being fit and getting forward a lot, moving a lot, running a lot. You need that type of player. We had it in Archie Gray. And, the way Archie Gray would just glide past 2 or 3 players, this guy has that in him as well. He loves to do it. He loves to drive forward with the ball. I just think under a system where he's allowed to get forward and with Dan, I don't know, just Dan James on that side, no one would get past him. It'd be ridiculous. Because Dan James is decent recovery anyway, and this guy's quick. So, yeah, a player I'd really like. Obviously, or he won't be in my top 3, but yeah.
I agree on that.
Well.
Yep. Sorry, Barney just adds, wrong American right back trade Robert for Scally, he says, Joe Scally.
Scally's, I think, a level above the Championship, to be honest. But good player, though, yeah, he's a bit higher.
Rob, what does he mean with Robert,
It is Robert, actually.
Roberts? I don't know.
Roberts. Okay.
Maybe. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, Render. That, honestly, as soon as I saw him, I thought, imagine him and Dan James. That one, oh my God.
Yeah. Hopefully someone defends. Because they're both offensive.
So they can both get back. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, but I agree on what Joe said about Jordan Miles. Because in the end, if you look at I placed Dudera in my list. You were right in saying Souček and Soufal, and there's plenty of players. I think there's a stigma against certain leagues, like Hungary, like
of course.
Czech Republic, Slavia Prague are a very good side in terms of scouting. Look at the players that left that club and went to other leagues, and then they became good. Pick is Czech, or Logic is Czech. There's plenty of good Czech players. But and there's good opportunities in terms of price and quality out there. So yeah, absolutely agree on that. And it's my turn now. So Loki mentioned the Bundesliga too. Zweite Bundesliga.
I know.
Let's go there. Everybody will know this one.
Let me just respond to this, Bob. I've just had a look, mate. I can't see no links whatsoever. I've just had a look on Twitter, and I've just had a look on the internet. I can't find any, mate. I know you've mentioned it a lot, so I don't know. Put the link in, and we'll have a look. Go on, Andrea. Sorry.
Me and Andre were fighting for this one to the death. So.
Yeah, now people will say, "Oh, you were fighting for him, really?" Because of course, I think he's he's a good player, but he's not much valued, in terms of, it's in Italian, sorry. Let's change it to...
I can say ciao, mate. That's about it. I can't read it.
Ciao. Ciao a tutti.
I can say Fafangul.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Okay.
No.
Right.
As you can see here now, you can see. It's on, yeah.
Yeah, it's on, bro, yeah.
Okay, so the player, of course, is John Joe Kenny. I know everyone knows him because, of course, he's passed at Everton mainly, product of their academy, of course. Then, first appearances basically for Everton around this time.
Didn't we speak about John Joe Kenny last season as well?
I think Lockie did. Lockie did last season, yeah. So we're basically, substituting each other in this one, turning around. He had a good season in Germany the first time when he was at Schalke, 2019, 2020, then went back to the Premier League, then to Celtic, then back to Everton, And yeah, he is an experienced player, a reliable player, a player that has grown. He can be a leader too. In terms of how he reads the game, the 3 players I named are very similar. They're both balanced. He can get forward, read the game well, contribute to the build-up because he's a very good passer. He has improved very much in terms of his offensive contribution compared to the previous season because he's playing his system differently, different systems compared to the one he was playing in England, different type of football. The Zweite Bundesliga with Serie B, they are the 2 most similar leagues compared to the Championship in terms of second-tier football in Europe.
Yeah.
So, of course, Hertha last season, they didn't get promoted back to the Bundesliga. They had also problems outside of the pitch in terms of finances and that sort of stuff. But can he perform? 3 goals, basically 4, because also in the German Cup, the DFB Pokal, and 7 assists, basically. So he's a reliable player, a leader, 27 years of age, the right age, a player that has grown. Look how much time he's around now, because he had his first taste of pro football in 2015 at Wigan in League One. So he's also an experienced player. He played a lot in the Premier League. If you look at this, 19 appearances for Everton, 2017, 2018, 10 appearances, 31 appearances in the Bundesliga, 15, 29 for Hertha. So in the Bundesliga, the first year. So another player that I really like. And looking at his stats from last season, I think you all have, if you remember at Everton, a misconception. Now he is a player that has grown. A player that can return to English football and have an impact, honestly. Because he's a different player compared to the one he was, the unfinished product he was in English football before at Everton and Celtic in Scottish football. Now he's a better player, more experienced. He can be what, in terms of leadership, what Dallas, what Ayling, what Roberts were for us, because they know the league. They knew the league. They can bring the experience. They can bring the mentality too. I want players with mentality. All the 3 players that I mentioned, they are balanced because they know when to get forward. They have offensive skills, but also they bring it to the defensive end. They know how to read a defensive line too. They know how to play in a defensive line. So that's why I named them. All good stats, as you can see. Also tackles, clearances, aerials one. I think where he lacked the most when he was at Everton was the defensive side, because he tended to get forward and leave something behind in terms of defensive on the defensive end. But I think he has improved in the meantime. So going on so for scorers, you can see again compared to Sir Nicola and Pedersen, of course, he's not that versatile, but he's even better in terms of awareness on the pitch, as you can see by the heat map. As you can see by the heat map. And look at these two. You know what that means, basically? Corner kicks.
Yeah, set pieces. Yeah.
Set pieces, yeah. Set pieces. And going down, again, good ratings here. 5 assists. 80%, 87, 63. Not much long balls like the other two, but what I think a right back should do is contribute to the build-up. Mm-hmm. Pass the ball, get the ball, bring the ball forward, carry the ball. Then when you meet the first line of pressing, pass the ball to the center mid, get forward, try to make the run in behind or cut inside, Now football has changed. The fullbacks are like midfielders basically in the build-up. They get forward, box to box midfielders, they get forward, they get back, The fullback in modern football, especially in teams playing with a back three, is with wing backs then, is one of the most key positions right now. One of the most key positions. As you can see, it's very balanced, Then I think people can also revisit this after we're finished, I don't want to hang it longer, But these are the stats. That's why I mentioned him, Very experienced player, very experienced right now. Yeah. 27, but experienced already for a return to English football then.
Yeah.
Just to add on to him as well, yeah, like everything Andreas. That's the type of one where you can see it. You know what I mean? He's played this league. Daniel Farkener exactly where he's played in Germany. Improved a lot as a player, gained leadership, was one of Hertha's best, most consistent players last season. 27 years old. That is one where you might want that last chance at the Premier League to come back into Leeds and get promoted. That's one where you can really see it happening, and one that would, I think, because they didn't get promoted, would be relatively easy. And the player, I think, would want the move. Again, going back to the Prem stuff. So yeah, we were fighting on him. We both had him, and that shows we both had him, which means he's clearly a player
he's
that
the top one. Yeah,
he's one
for
top.
sure.
Yeah, he's probably not one that has the best kind of ceiling or excitement, but one that almost guarantee will come in and be what you need, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we've got one more, right? each?
My last one, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I
No,
finished.
okay.
Yeah.
Just me.
Do me a favour while Lockie's doing that in the private chat, Andrea. Write me some of the names so I can put it on a poll. Because
Okay.
you know what mine like with my names and stuff would be here going H-A-B.
Okay. Let's. I write them in the notes of the so I can do the list and send them
cool.
in the chat. Okay.
Am I adding this, Lockie? Yeah.
Yeah, so these are just some honourable mentions that I picked out that maybe we're not mentioned. We mentioned Pedersen at the bottom. Andre spoke about him. John Joe Kenny as well. We just spoke about Paul Jolly, Ogier. I've just been promoted, so I didn't put him in just because I think he might stay there and have a chance with them in the top tier. And that Jeremy Patrice is an interesting one in Belgium. The only reason I didn't put him in is because I think he's too much like Rutter. I know he's a fullback, that's crazy. He is. I don't think Daniel Farke could deal with that type of player when there's Rutter on the pitch. He's a very skillful and rogue right back, but one that's very impressive. Marlon Fozzy, people might have heard of him. He's had a good season at Stade Liège, solid season, increased his value a bit more. He was close to being in the list. There's a few down there. Again, I'm going to butcher his name, but Omar El Hilali. I just didn't put in. I just think he might be a little too good. I looked online. There's a few teams talking about him that are higher than us to say. Obviously, Brook Norton-Cuffy. We've not spoke about Brook Norton-Cuffy. For me, I don't know if you agree, Andre, could easily be on our lists. I think he's a solid player.
I agree.
If we got him, someone like that, we talked about him last year as well. Someone I'd like. Obviously, I think he's a very good player. He had a decent
better
loan
than
last year.
Spence.
Yeah, yeah, he had a decent loan last year. I just think now is that kind of second, or what's the, I don't know what his loan is now, but that second top championship loan that these players need. He's very young, so I think he's still 20 or 21. Trey Hume, obviously, we know that Trey Hume is top player. I just think it'll be a little expensive. That's the only reason.
Same.
It's not for quality. I think it'd be great for us, but I just think it'd be more than maybe 10 million. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I just made a little list there of some that came close. They're not worse than the ones in there. They just, for whatever reason, just didn't make it in because you got to choose three. So yeah, I'll just find the thing. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
Final one. I like to have a little random one in there sometimes. This is one of them. I think you had him as well, Andrea.
Let's see.
Your list. I'm pretty sure it's in your list as well. This window. Yep. Denzo Casilla.
Ooh. Same haircut, by the way. My new look.
Yeah, you know what? not too similar to me, actually.
Same, man, same.
The new Strauss.
Still the reason I put him in. No, yeah. So he plays for Els. I'll show you anyway. I'll explain it. He plays for Els at Alkmaar, but actually he played a lot of the season in and out of their first side. Obviously, they're a good side in Holland. Some good players there. You'll know him from his time at Bologna, I'm assuming, Andrea.
Yeah.
But a player who established himself for me this year as one that I think he's ready to kick on. I think he needs a club where he's going to play a lot of games. The issue at Alkmaar is, again, they're probably right now in his career just that step too much, and I don't see him. I think I looked at their fullbacks. They have about 4 or 5 fullbacks on the list as well, so he struggled to get in. As you can see, he played 16 times in Eredivisie last season, which isn't bad going considering the competition they have in that side. Obviously, look there, they're in the Conference League as well. A player as well, and this is something that is important, can play left and right, as you said, Joe. You like that? I like that. We all like that. Very versatile player. A very, without being is still development there for him. A very kind of overall solid performer. A guy that you could see inverting. He's technically good on the ball. I think he's decent in tight spaces. He likes to play, which is something that we like as well. Someone who won't panic. He won't rush on the ball. And I'll show you his FB ref stats. And as you can see, they're fairly solid all the way across. A player for me that, again, like the others, probably less established because he's not played as much as everyone's in this list. And that's something that you can maybe look at. But then you've got to consider that he was at probably a better side than the others in this list, a side with a lot of options in fullback. At 21 years old, he's easy on the eye to watch as well. He's very, the word is neat and tidy. I'd advise him. I think if there's one thing this guy can do that he doesn't do enough, that I think can develop under Daniel Farke, is being brave to make those decisions going forward, so he gets more goals and assists, because he has it in the locker. He has all the technical ability. He's also a decent athlete as well. He's quick. He's aggressive defensively. And you can see here, look, he's not good in the air. That's one thing I will say. He's terrible in the air. But tackling, interceptions, blocks, very smart defender. Positional awareness is decent. He never gets caught out of position. He's always quite smart. And as you can see, look, just solid overall stuff. The progressiveness, again, that we speak about. Decent dribbler of the ball as well. And again, look at, some of the names I've seen in here. Van Erwijk is similar players in terms of statistical. A different profile to Van Erwijk, though, I will say that. Not a similar type. Yeah, there's some good names in there. But a player that I've not known as maybe about a month ago. I came aware of this guy. I was watching someone else, actually, a winger for AZ, for another video I'm doing. And this guy stood out on that side. I thought this guy looks very solid. And he is that. And I'm looking at, again, look at John Joe Kenny and his kind of overall game and how solid he is throughout. There's no real weakness there. He's not overly aggressive going forward. I think this guy right now, as a profile, is that. And that's kind of one that you can come in and kind of play that role that Leeds require for me. There's definitely more options out there who are more established. But again, I'll watch a player, and if I get keen on a player, I think I look at a player. Obviously, you're judging by what you see, and I look at him and say, this guy could really work. He's really neat on the ball. He's good in transition as well, which is something that's key. He gets back and forward really quick. He doesn't lay around on the pitch. So a player who has, for me, a very high ceiling, I think. I know he was in your list, Andreas, so I don't know if you want to add up to that.
Yeah, I agree totally. I liked him a lot when he had few chances, at Bologna, because he had Aroniki in front of him. He had other players in front of him when he was at Bologna. But I like what I saw at the beginning. He was very, very young at Bologna. Then, he wanted to play more, so that's why he left. He arrived later, I think, than expected, but he is arriving now. He is arriving. He's getting opportunities. I think he should have played more last season, honestly, compared to what he could have brought. Looking at what he could have brought to the side, and he was a Rapid Vienna, I think, before, the season before, Rapid Vienna. They got now Bolla and Oswald, another right back that is good. But I think he's good. He's a very the word to describe me is energetic. I think Loki. Honestly, he's very energetic. Always try to press. He's very good on the pressing too. He could easily be also a right midfielder, basically, because he's very good also with the technique, the dribbles, all that.
Solid fundamentally, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, always on move, always moving. Always moving.
Yeah.
He's never static. So whenever looking at that picture, it can easily be a relative of me because of the haircut and of you because of the beard and the haircut. Honestly, we have found our new look. Like, honestly, he's more like you now. He's more like you. Look at that one. But
it's basically like if you two had a child. That's what he would look like.
No, he's very good. And again, just looking at the heat map, he can play either side. He is a right back, but he's that solid fundamentally that he can play either side. And again, he doesn't, from what I've seen anyway, he's developed this. He doesn't dive into tackles. He is aggressive, but to a good point for me. I think he's fairly solid defensively. Just one of them players that you just know would come in. Well, I believe would come in and it just hit the ground for me. I think he just fit. He's a very calm, solid player that would just fit like John Joe as well. So, that's the one. They're the three.
Looking at the surname Cassius, it can easily be a character from Dragon Ball, like one of the Genius Squad, basically. Cassius.
I just say as well, I think again looking at
they've sabotaged Joe.
Right,
now it's the Just John Joe football show.
I think
it's frozen now.
Like Ampadu and Rodon.
Like Ampadu and Rodon?
Like Ampadu and Rodon, he's one of them guys who needs a home. For me, like you said, he's moved around teams. He's not quite established in them side. He's probably joined clubs where there's good fullbacks. I know at AZ Alkmaar there was a few last season that played quite a few minutes each, but no one played loads. Again, experimenting with who they've got. But yeah, I think he'll be a solid player.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I think you're spot on when you name him. Of course, we both name him, but I think the reason we named him is because I had him because I remember him at Bologna now, and I follow I follow AZ, certain players that said like Moller Nielsen, for example, Moller Wolf, sorry, the other fullback, the left back, I think, that we named in the January transfer window, when we were doing their reports on left backs. On the other side, I think Sugawara went to Southampton too, from AZ.
The fullback, yeah.
So Pavlidis, they had good players. Also, they had Cook Miners before he went to Atalanta, Reinders before he went to AC Milan. So a good side to get players from,
Yeah, they are. Very good side.
But I know why we named them, honestly, because, and also other players, because certain players, like I named Odriozola, for example, in the list. I placed other players like Stefan Leiner, another example. Mazzocchi. Mazzocchi is playing at Napoli, of course. You tell yourself, a Napoli player going to Leeds, something is not right. But also Andrei Razzi, who had a very good Euros for Romania, is playing in La Liga for Rayo Vallecano. But if you look at them, there's also opportunities. Like there's players that want to play more. And Leeds, of course, Leeds plays in the Championship, but English football is attractive. It's attractive for a player. Oh, I'm going to play in England. England is the capital. Let's call it like that. It's the capital of football right now.
Well, just like Van Eerwijk, Andrea, last year, Van Eerwijk had a good season in the Eredivisie. A good season. He scored, I think, got like 8 goal involvements from fullback. He scored the most goals from fullback, and he joined the Championship side. There's definitely pull there. Players want, like you said, they want to go to the Premier League, and if they're part of a good project and they believe in a project, the costs will go.
Yeah, absolutely. You can sell them a project, because project is the right term also. Because in this we go back to what we were saying at the start. I want players that arrive at this club, players where you can build a project with them. Look at what Villa, what Brentford, what Brighton did. There's still players that are there, that were there when they got promoted. They got promoted to the Premier League. So you need to plan for many years with certain players that can arrive, are an unfinished product, are showing good side. You develop them, and then maybe you sell them in the future, but not on short term. Sommerville is just basically his second season, full season, like Gnonto, at Leeds, because he was in the youth teams before, and there's already rumors about him wanting to move to Liverpool. Gnonto, Leeds acquired him from Zurich in the Swiss league, and he wanted to leave after the one season, after relegation. Aronson was playing in the Austrian league. Christensen was playing in the Austrian league. We gave those players an opportunity in English football, and that's how they repaid us, after one season. Contracts in modern football, they mean nothing, basically, because the 49ers arrived from a different environment where contracts matter. That's why they play the hard hand, the hard ball, because in the NFL, in the NBA, in the NBA, a player cannot complain if they trade him to another club. So it's a different mentality. Here is different, like Reggiana, for example, I'm using my local team as an example. They had Alessandro Nesta, the former world champion, as the manager. He had another contract another Euro's contract, and he decided to leave to pay a release clause he had in order to get to Serie A, to Monza. The director of football, he had another Euro's contract, decided to leave to go to Fiorentina. That's football right now. Maybe you arrive, you arrive to a club, but you consider him that club a middle step to a higher step, a middle chapter in a story, in a larger story, So I think there's still players in this squad that consider Leeds a middle chapter in their career, not a chapter that they can open this chapter and end this chapter in the Premier League after 2, 3, 4 years, where they are different players, more developed players, and then they can get the big move to another top club. Because I don't think Sommerville is ready for a big club yet. Brighton would have been the perfect situation for him. look at Mitoma. Mitoma arrived in Premier League from Belgium for Sint-Truiden, and he became the player he is, the promising player he is. He still has a lot of room for development, But because he moved to Brighton, imagine Mitoma moving to, for example, Liverpool, other clubs, There's other players that moved directly to top clubs and they failed.
Bro,
you remember Lazar Markovic years ago to Liverpool, for example?
What was the other? What was the other Asian fella? Minamino, went to Liverpool, did nothing. Naby Keita even as well went to Liverpool, and I know he got a lot of injuries, but you're right. Some people make that big jump too early. I think. Do you know what I always look at, and it's gutting, but look at Gvardiol. Gvardiol played a blinder. He said, "No, I'm staying here." He played Champions League. Now he's at City. You know what I mean? And he said he wanted to wait until he was ready. Sometimes footballers do this, but others, just like you say, just make that jump too soon. And like you say, Mudrik's a great shout, isn't it? So
Madueke too. I think also there's other players like Mark Guyu. There's many young players that went to Chelsea, but it's congested now. It's like a place where young players go, but it's congested. And you don't have experienced players around you that helping to develop you. That's another difference. That's why Pochettino failed. I think there it was not Pochettino failing, but it was the club failing him because they just had basically Thiago Silva as an experienced player. All the others were players that needed to be tutored, and they didn't have tutors in the squad because they changed the squad overnight. Basically, after one season, Mendy, Koulibaly, all those players,
Yeah, Madueke is a great example of that. Because he's a player. I remember when we went up the year after when we finished ninth. He was doing stuff at PSV then. And I wanted us to sign him. He's a player I really liked, and he made that move to Chelsea. And it just seemed a bit weird to me. I can imagine a player like Madueke, if he'd have just gone to a Crystal Palace or even us after we finished ninth, a team like that, Brentford, he'd be unbelievable right now. He probably would have been a shout for the England squad because he's that talented. But they take this road and they might get there in the end. It might take 2 or 3 years, but you've got to. I don't know. They've got to be careful. You've got to value playing time. You've got to value playing time for your longevity of your career as well. Because you will get, if you're good enough, you'll get their moves, but you'll get them when you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
By the way, I forgot to tell you about yesterday. We of course did the show on the telly. Mention again Leeds, because they asked me basically, what do you think? They were looking. The question was, we were looking at a graphic, with all the ownerships groups in Serie B. So basically, Francesco, the presenters, asked me, you have a wider eye, in terms of football. So firsthand, that there's a surge in foreign ownerships groups in European football. So I said, for example, Leeds United got taken over from Radrizzani to 49ers Enterprises, a group, Then I mentioned Tom Brady and Birmingham, of course.
Get it in every week.
Third episode of the show, third time I mentioned Leeds. So basically, we're on a good record now.
Love it. You have to keep doing it, mate. Danny Cook.
Cheers.
Fabulous show, says Danny Cook. Keep it up. Thank you very much, folks. Fucking hell. Sorry. Yeah. Listen, I'm just going to say something now, right? This is a football show. We're talking about football things. Outside of that, if I'm just stop bringing it into the chat. It's just weird behaviour, if I'm being totally honest. And it stresses me out. It stops people off their stride. People are trying to concentrate on what they're doing and just having stupid debates in the chat and stuff. It's just strange. And likening the channel to Putin's insane, and that's going to get you another block. It is what it is. So I just don't understand it, man. Anyway, fabulous show.
There's a space for everything, isn't there, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Not now. It's just
what
strange
is fundamental, and I'm good you address that honestly, because you in the end the host of the show, and you put a lot of work into this. Also, very show in terms of the content, the argument, the topics. Sorry, not the argument. Argument is argomento in Italian. The topics. So people. The first thing is respect for each other. when Joe is working, we are helping him in this case, in this particular show. But the first thing is respect, and there's many people that are respecting this. Others, I'm glad that Joe did this because Joe is really putting a lot of work into this one, so it should be valued, honestly.
Legend, mate. Thank you very much for that.
No, it's what I think. So I'm very honest every time. So
yeah, no, 100%. Listen, we did do a poll, just out of interest, lads. Which right back would you choose if you could? I don't know if you can see the poll, but I'll tell you. If you could choose one that you've picked, and I'll tell you what the crowd have gone with.
Hover, the first one, I think.
You've gone for Hover, yeah? Who would you go for, Andrea?
Kenny Jonjo.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
Kenny. No, yeah, I'll stick with Hover.
Hover, yeah. So in fourth, I put 4 up, which is Brian Reynolds, Hover, Kenny, and Pedersen. Brian Reynolds got 14% of the vote. Jonjo Kenny got 20% of the vote. Hover got 27% of the vote. And the winner, Marcus Pedersen, got 39% of the vote.
The most expensive one.
Yeah, no shots there, actually.
This poll is rigged because it's all your Norwegian followers voting for the country.
Yeah, probably.
No,
probably.
Good shout, lads. Good shout.
Great show. Thank you both so much for coming on, and obviously, I know you enjoy it and that, but it means an awful lot. And I know people were saying earlier about me getting bored, and I don't. I'm just making sure everything's like moving and stuff like that. I don't want these lads to be going away thinking that, and I don't want you in the chat to be thinking that as well. So yeah, I'm really grateful that these do it themselves anyway, but then bring it to the party, and it's great. And like we know, like this is a lot of people like have been calling for this show, asking for this show, and they enjoy this show. So big up, like I say. The average view duration's almost 20 minutes, which is insane on a YouTube video. So the fact that people stay around for that long is quite insane, folks, and the amount of views and that. So we're really grateful. There'll be another show, I think, on Friday, dependent. We'll wait and see after the game, where we'll look at number 8. So we might just leave it for another day. We'll do that. Tomorrow's Thursday the 18th. We'll have something there. I'm excited to find out that Harrogate and Leeds game will be viewed. So the watch along will be back on Friday, which I'm really looking forward to as well. Still no I don't think the German games will, because when you go on LUTV, normally you'll get an individual match pass of $4.99 and one that covers the full lot. And all that's on there at the minute is just one match. So I've got a feeling that there isn't no overall match pass, because we're not going to be able to get views in Germany, which is really, really frustrating, by the way, because that means none of us, and not even fans, are going to be able to see what's going on, who's playing where, how Rothwell's getting on, has he changed it to a 3? It's mind-boggling that we're not allowed to see it, to be honest.
We'll do what Bielsa did, People will go there with the binoculars.
Yeah, binoculars, yeah.
From the trees,
definitely. Yeah. I think it's a great way to end it. Darren says, thank you, guys. Excellent info and insight. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and we'll see you all again soon.
Guys.
Bye-bye, folks.